Fast.
My name is Deanne Alexander, and I'm going to be talking about how to replace an ink cartridge, or ink in an ink cartridge for a Dell all-in-one printer. That's the printer I own. How would you like to save money on replacing your ink cartridges? If you're like me, you purchased a computer, you have a computer, and most people purchase a printer along with that computer so that you have the convenience of printing at home, right?
Right.
Well, you purchase the printer and you think that's it, but oh no, the ink cartridges are very expensive. And what I found out, for me, just recently I purchased a black cartridge and a color cartridge for my printer, and it was $57 for both of them. I mean, and I'm having to replace ink cartridges once a month at least because of how much I have to print for school and everything. So I decided, well, you know, there has to be a better way to do this. So I went and I purchased a refill kit for 20 bucks. 20 bucks for 3 refills versus 177 for 3 refills purchased. Great savings, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, of course, you have to think about, you know, what it entails. And when you're doing this, you have to make sure that you have all your pieces. While you're doing it, you don't want to be interrupted, and you surely don't want to leave the stuff out if you inadvertently forget that you don't have enough ink, because somebody could make a mess, like a pet or a small child,
Or yourself.
and then, wow, you have ink on the carpet. Does anybody know how to take ink out of a carpet? I don't either. Okay, so that's, you know, some of the downfalls. The next thing you need to know is, what do you need, right? What do you need? You need a kit. And the kit needs to make sure that your printer is identified on that kit, just to make sure that it is for your kit. Because sometimes within a kit for a specific printer, it has tools that you need for your ink cartridges. Not for everybody else's, but for your ink cartridges. And inside the kit, here are some examples of some refill kit cartridges. As you can see, there's inks, and then these are tools down here, and that's like a consolidated ink cartridge. You put it in, and then you don't have to really mess with it, but it doesn't work for all printers. So in my case, I had to go with one like this. And here's a little holding tool. Not all of them come with a holding tool either. And then this is some ink. You can get them with a needle in it already, or others where you have to use a syringe, which could be a bit messier. You also want to make sure that you have Q-tips for cleaning, because there's some cleaning solution that also usually comes with it, and Q-tips make it easy to clean the back and the bottom of the ink cartridges. Newspaper or paper plates, you know, to put down. I like paper plates because it kind of keeps everything together, because the ink cartridges aren't really great big pieces, they're small. So for me, I like paper plates. Also rubber gloves. Helps to keep the ink off the fingers, right? And then enough room and a flat surface to work with no interruptions. So let's look at how do we change the ink or replace the ink. For a black, here's an example of what the cartridges for a Dell A92, A20 ink cartridges look like. So this is without the top. It shows the color holes, and then here's a black one. Now we're gonna replace the ink. So for my printer, for my cartridges, I have to drill a hole. So the very first time that I change the ink in it, I have to drill a hole. And this could take some time because, you know, the plastic is hard and it's not really meant to have anything go through it. So you have to kind of put some pressure on it. But you drill a hole in it, not with an electric drill, with a handheld drill that comes in the kit. You make the hole, and then once you have the hole, you can refill it 5 times without having to replace the cartridge. So you drill the hole, you take the ink, which we saw on the previous slide. Mine, the ones I got, had needles in it already, so I just took the ink, you put the needle into the cartridge about halfway through it, and then you squeeze the ink slowly. Not very quickly, you do it slowly until it fills. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Sometimes it could be less. Once you filled it, you take the ink nozzle out, you put the rubber cap on the ink nozzle, and you put a rubber stopper in the hole where you have drilled for the black ink. And then you take the Q-tip, put a little bit of cleaner on it, rub the back and the bottom to clean off any excess ink that may have come out during the refilling process or any old ink that was on it before you changed it. Now for the color. The color's a little more difficult. The color has a top on it that you, well, for my ink cartridge anyways, has a top on it that is sealed all the way around the whole entire top. And you have to use either a knife, a little small knife, or a razor blade, and you have to cut the seal around the outside of it off, or out. You have to kind of clear it out. Once you have gotten enough of it out, you stick the penknife in there, and then you kind of give it a little bit of twist in, like this, to pop the top off. Okay, so now the top now it looks like this. You just want to make sure when you're wiggling, you don't crack the lid. That could be not real good. But when it's off, it looks like this. And then, as you can see, there are colors associated to holes. And I found out that if you use a light, a flashlight, you can look in the hole and you can see the color. Unless you go on the internet and you print something like this out that tells you where the colors are. If you don't, you can just look at it with the flashlight. You know what colors there are. They're yellow, magenta, and cyan. Right? So it's yellow, red, and blue. Those are the 3 basic colors, besides black, which is separate. And you do the same thing. You put the needle in halfway for each color. You squeeze it slowly. You fill it for each color. When you're done with the colors, all the colors, then you put the lid back on and you tape it shut. Okay? Now on the color cartridge, you have to make sure that you don't cover up the breathing hole. There's a breathing hole right on the top. It's kind of a bump like this, and there's a breathing hole right on top. So you just tape it down on the side. You really don't need a lot of tape, just a small amount of tape, because once it gets into the cartridge holder will hold it down. You don't have to worry about that. So now we have refilled the ink cartridges, right? Oh, and then you have to clean it too, like the black one. You have to clean it with the Q-tip, back and bottom, getting all the excess ink off. Now we're ready to put it in ink, and put the ink in the printer. All right. So for mine, there's a button on the bottom right-hand side of the Start menu that you can click. It's a little icon for the printer. You double-click it, it brings up a window. Then there's a maintenance window that you click, and it has 4 ink drops on it, all the different colors. And from there, it asks, you insert new ink cartridges. You click that, and you follow the instructions. It explains to you how to open up the printer, how to put in the cartridges, and then to close them. So you just follow the instructions. You push the black lever, put the black lid, you put the black ink in, you push the blue lever, you put the color ink in, you push it down, you close the printer. Now you're ready to clean your printer heads, because you really want to make sure that your printer heads are clean. You clean your printer heads by using the utilities on the maintenance menu. Then once you have cleaned your your heads, then you want to make sure that you have no streaks in your printing, right? Because you don't want streaks in any of the things that you're printing. So for my computer, on the maintenance screen, they have a clean to fix horizontal streaks, right? So you run that as many times as you need to get all the streaks out, because it prints out a sample page, and I did not bring a sample page, but it prints out a sample page, and you can see where if your ink has little spots missing in it. And you just do that as many times as you feel you need to make sure your print is coming out okay. Then what you want to do is you want to print a sample page, right? So you can either choose one yourself, or you can use one from the menu that they provide. And then if everything is cool, then you click exit. Now you're ready to print, right? A little bit of trouble, but much less expensive, for me anyways, to do that. And you can do this process, you can do with almost all small home office printers. Okay, it's basically the same process, unless you get unless your printer is available through the first Slide I showed you that was compacted, and you just stick it in there and like that. But other than that, it's, you know, it's pretty simple. Just have to be careful. You know, as you become experienced with it, it gets easier. You know, like I said, you only have to drill the hole the first time for 5 refills. The color, you just pry off the lid one time for 5 refills. So really, the hardest part is just getting through the first cartridge each time you're going to refill it. So, as you can see, it's not that difficult. Hopefully you all will try out the process. If not, you can still purchase, and that is cool. That's up to you. Thank you very much for your attendance.
Yay.